Dear students, welcome to Sslc Social Science Last Minute Preparation. Explain the causes that resulted in the discovery of a new sea route to India. In 1453, the Ottoman Turks captured the city of Constantinople. As a result, all the trade routes came under the control of Turks. The Turks started levying too many taxes on the goods passing through these routes. Spain and Portugal were attempting to break the monopoly of Italian traders. The invention of compass, astrolabes, and gunpowder. State the results of Battle of Plassey. This war brought out the immorality, lack of unity among the Indians. Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. The company gained exclusive rights to trade in Bengal. Mir Jafar had to pay rupees 17 crores and 70 lakhs. What were the results of the Battle of Buxar? Shah Alam II accorded the Diwani rights over Bengal to the British. Shah Alam II gave away all the rights over Bengal to the British. The Nawab of Oudh had to pay a fine of rupees 50 lakhs. The company paid pension to the son of Mir Jafar. Explain the dual government. In 1765, Robert Clive brought in dual government. As per this, the British had the right to collect land taxes. The Nawab had power over administrative issues like justice and others. Explain the reasons for First Anglo-Maratha War. The death of Maratha strongman Madhav Rao Peshwa was a major setback to Marathas. Narayan Rao was murdered by his uncle Raghoba. This resulted in infighting for the Peshwa post. The Maratha Federation brought Madhav Rao II to the post of Peshwa. Raghoba approached the British for support. What were the conditions under subsidiary alliance? The Indian king had to keep the British army in his kingdom. The state concerned had to bear the expenses of the army. The king had to have a British resident in his court. The king could not appoint any other European. The permission of the Governor General was mandatory to enter into any agreement. The company would offer protection to the state from internal or external aggression. Explain the effects of Third Anglo-Maratha War. Peshwa Bajirao II surrendered to the British. The British abolished the Peshwa post and granted a pension to Bajirao II. The British installed Pratap Singh as the ruler of Satara. The British suppressed the Maratha resistance. Explain the features of permanent Zamindar system. Lord Cornwallis implemented permanent Zamindar system in Bengal. Under this system, Zamindar became the landowner. The Zamindar was expected to pay the agreed land taxes to the company. He was free to collect any amount of land taxes from the farmers. If the Zamindar was unable to collect land taxes, the ownership of the lands was taken away by the company. The farmers were the grave sufferers. This system created a new social group that aided the British. The farmers had to lead a life of insecurity. Explain the features of Mahalwari system. It was implemented in Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Punjab and Delhi. Mahal means taluk. R.M. Bird and James Thomson implemented this system. There were differences in the implementation of this system from region to region. The big and small zamindars were part of this system. Many zamindars had to lose their ownership of the lands. The marginal farmers and agricultural laborers also suffered. What were the main aspects of Rayatwari system? It was first implemented by Alexander Reed. It was later implemented by Thomas Mangrove. Both the farmer and the company were directly linked. The tiller of the land was recognized as the owner of the land. The owner had to pay 50% of produce as land tax. The land tax had 30 years tenure. The tax could be reviewed after this tenure. The small farmers were subjected to more suffering due to heavy land taxes. The officials took punitive actions to collect land taxes. What were the effects of British land taxes? A new class of zamindars was created. The farmers became landless slowly. Land became a commodity. Loans could be raised by mortgaging the lands. Many zamindars also had to mortgage their lands. The agriculture sector became commercialized. The money lenders became strong. Make a list of the effects of British education in India. Indians could develop modernity, secularism, democratic attitudes. Impetus was received for the local literature and languages. Periodicals started emerging. New social and religious reformation movements emerged. The thoughts of J.S. Mill, Rousseau, Montesquieu brought fresh thinking. The freedom struggle that were taking place across the globe influenced the Indians also. Indians could understand and appreciate their rich tradition. What were the reforms introduced by the British in education? Warren Hastings facilitated the expansion of modern education. Warren Hastings started Calcutta Madrasa. Jonathan Duncan started Sanskrit College in Benares. Charles Grant pressed for the universalization of British education. The expansion of the British education was supported by Lord William Bentinck. The report on education submitted by Macaulay became the base of modern education in India. Governor General Lord Dalhousie established universities in Calcutta, Bombay and Madras. What were the restrictions imposed in Regulating Act? The Bengal Presidency gained control over the other two presidencies. The Governor of Bengal became the Governor General of all the three presidencies. The Governor General was authorized to supervise over the other two presidencies. The Bombay and Madras presidencies could not declare war on anyone. The Bombay and Madras governments had to report all their administrative decisions to the Governor General. 4 councillors were appointed to the Executive Committee. How does the India Government Act of 1935 become the base of Indian Constitution? A federal system of Indian principalities, British governed regions and dominion states was formed. Reserve Bank of India was established. Hierarchy was established at the center. Hierarchy was cancelled at the regional level and autonomy was granted. The federal court was established. What are the important features of 1919 Act? Act formulated bicameral legislative body, lower house and upper house were formed. Hierarchy was allowed at regional governments. An High Commissioner was appointed for India. Promise to improve local self-government. Provincial budget was separated from central budget. Separate electoral college was extended for Muslims, Sikhs, Anglo-Indians and Europeans. What were the effects of Third Anglo-Mysore War? What were the conditions of Srirangpatnam Treaty? Tipu was forced to part with half of his kingdom. Tipu was forced to pay 3 crore rupees. As war damage free, he had to pledge 2 of his children as a guarantee against the payment. He was also forced to release the prisoners of war. The British withdrew the combined army from Srirangpatnam. The Fourth Anglo-Mysore War strengthened the position of British in India in Mysore. How? The British were able to destroy the strong port. Tipu died while fighting against the British. The British were happy as if the whole India came under their control. Most of the territories were shared among the British, Marathas and Hyderabad Nizam. A small territory was handed over to the royal representative of Mysore Wadiyars. This region came to be known as Mysore Princely State. Explain the method of resisting the British power by Dondia Wak. He built a small army and started his operations. He organized the army with the unhappy soldiers of Tipu's army. He captured Bidnoor and Shivamogga forts. An attack was organized on Shivamogga, Honnali, Harihara. Dondia had captured Shikaripura fort and he was scattered by the British army again. The British attacked him near Elaparavi and killed him at Konagal. Explain the method adopted by Rayanna to fight against the British. Rayanna fought for the independence of Kittur and he felt it was his duty to liberate his motherland. He fought against the British and imprisoned along with her. He developed a sense of nationalism and went on organizing an army. He organizing secret meetings at sensitive places. He aimed at looting the treasury and taluk offices of the British. He became furious with the villagers who were assisting the British army. He was cunningly captured and brought down to Dharwad. He was declared as an offender and was hanged to death. Explain the role of Kittur Rani Chennamma in the freedom movement of Kittur. After the death of Shivalinga Rudra Sarja, Chennamma adopted a boy named Shivalingappa. Thackeray attempted to take over the treasury and fort under his control. She considered war was an inevitable. She prepared for the war. Meanwhile, the British also prepared themselves for the war. In the battle, Thackeray was shot dead. The British attacked Kittur again under the leadership of Colonel Dickon. She was captured by the British army. She was imprisoned at Bailongal fort. She passed away in the prison. Explain the rebellion of Bedas of Halagali. The British banned the usage of weapons. The Bedas were good hunters. They rebelled against the British when they were asked to surrender their firearms. The Bedas of Manturu, Budni, Algundi joined Halagali Bedas. The British army entered Halagali village to suppress the rebellion. They suppressed the Bedas in an inhuman way. All the rebels were hanged to death. What are the preachings of Brahma Samaj? Advocated monotheism, opposed meaningless rituals. Every person should live with dignity and no law or ritual should violate this provision. Equality to women by opposing polygamy. A share in property, honor, dignity of life to widow. Opposed child marriage. It declared that one can take good things from anywhere. What were the aims of Arya Samaj? All Hindus should believe in one formless God. No one is a Shudra or Brahmin by birth. Encouragement to intercaste marriages. Rejection of polygamy and child marriage. Men and women are equal. One should study Vedas and other ancient sacred texts and preach them. Explain the views of Ramakrishna Mission. Ramakrishna Mission was founded to carry the message and thoughts of Sri Ramakrishna. One has to attain moksha through dhyana and bhakti. It said idol worship is inevitable. It believed that all religions advocated the same. It believed that there are many ways of attaining moksha and the God. It has provided a unique contribution to India's spiritual growth, nationalistic awareness, and cultural development. Explain how Swami Vivekananda was a source of inspiration for youngsters. He worked to establish a casteless society. He noticed exploitation, poverty, illiteracy among the Indians. He believed that people should be educated first. He wanted legal institutions to implement appropriate rules. He also wanted people to stop following the Western ideal blindly. He believed it is the duty of the religion to provide light. Without this, religion is itself is of no use. The one who responds to the poor is Mahatma, and the one who doesn't is Duratma. He opposed untouchability and the idea of supremacy. What were the reformation activities of Annie Besant? She advocated that Indian culture is far more superior to the Western culture. She also did a comparative study of Hinduism and Buddhism, translated Bhagavad Gita to English. She was called as Shweta Saraswati. She wanted education for all. She opened schools. She started Central Hindu College at Benares. She started New India and Commonweal. She started Home Rule League. How did the economic policies result in the Mutiny of 1857? Explain. Due to industrialization in England, the Indian handicrafts and industries diminished. The artisans of India became unemployed. The weavers became the first victim as wool and cloth making industry suffered a lot. The Indian handicrafts became financially pathetic. The British levied high customs on Indian goods. Entering the market of England, the farmers were exploited by zamindars. Land tax collection rights awarded to talukdars were withdrawn. Inam lands were also taken back. The farmers were exploited by zamindars. Land tax collection rights awarded to talukdars were withdrawn. Inam lands were also withdrawn. List out the reasons that led to the failure of the mutiny. What were the reasons for the failure of 1857 revolt? It did not cover every part of India. It was not a planned mutiny. The unity among the British and the disunity among the Indians, lack of direction and leadership, lack of discipline and organizing skills, lack of military strategies, planning capabilities. The freedom fighters lacked a definite aim. Many of the Indian kings extended their loyalties to the British. The Sipahis lost the faith of common people. What were the political reasons for First War of Indian Independence? Due to the doctrine of lapse, many Indian kings had to lose their kingdoms. Satara, Jaipur, Jhansi, Udaipur became part of the British Empire. Dalhousie abolished the kingship of Tanjavur and Carnatic Nawabs. The British dethroned Mughal emperor and many other kings. Many soldiers depended on these kings became unemployed. What were the administrative reasons for First War of Indian Independence? The British brought in many civil and criminal laws into effect, but in the implementation there were a lot of partiality. Laws applied to Indians in a different manner. English became the language of the court. The English judges gave judgments in favor of English. People did not like the new laws. Explain the results of 1857 mutiny. The governance of East India Company came to an end. The administration of India was handed over to Secretary of Indian Affairs. The Queen of Britain passed a declaration. The agreements entered by the company with the local kings were accepted. Non-pursuance of regional expansions. Providing a stable government for Indians. Equality before the law. Non-interference of the government in religious issues and Indians. Explain the role of moderates in Indian freedom movement. W.C. Banerjee, M.G. Ranade, Surendranath Banerjee, Dadabhai Naoroji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale were the major moderate leaders. Moderates had faith in the rule of British and judiciary. They used to table their demands with the framework of the constitution through prayers and requests. They tried to bring in political awareness among the people. They organized public meetings, discussed various burning issues. Demands of the moderates: cutting down of military expenditure, development of Indian industries, providing good education, programs for poverty alleviation. Explain the role of Bala Gangadhar Tilak in the Indian independence movement. He declared, Swaraj is my birthright, I would definitely get it back. Attaining complete freedom was his aim. He tried to organize the common people of India. He attempted to organize people by employing religious celebrations too. He used Ganesha, Shivaji and Dasara, Durga celebrations. He published Kesari and Maratha. He encouraged common people to protest against the British. The radical writings of Tilak was galvanized. The British arrested Tilak due to these developments. Tilak wrote a book, Geeta Rahasya, in the prison. Explain the role of radicals in Indian freedom movement. Radicals called the moderates as political beggars. The group congressmen who criticized the soft stance of moderates are called as radicals. Arvindo Ghosh, Bipin Chandra Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai and Balagangadhar Tilak are the main members of this radical group. Tilak declared, Swaraj is my birthright, I shall have it. Attaining complete freedom was the main aim of radicals. They tried to organize the common people of India. They attempted to organize people by encouraging religious celebrations too. They used Ganesha, Shivaji and Durga celebrations to organize people against the British. Explain the role of revolutionaries in Indian freedom movement. Revolutionaries dreamed of attaining complete freedom. They used bombs and guns to achieve their goal. They believed in violent methods. They established secret organization across the country. They started collecting weapons and money for an armed struggle against the British. Lotus and Dragar was found in England. Gadar was founded in USA. Abhinav Bharata and Anushilana Samiti. List out the programs of non-cooperation movement. Boycotting schools, colleges and courts. Boycotting elections to regional legislative bodies. Returning all the honors and medals given by the British. Nominated members to the local bodies resigning from their membership. Boycotting all the government functions. boycotting all foreign goods. Explain the major developments that took place during non-cooperation movement. Deshabandhu Chittaranjan Das, Motilal Nehru, Rajendra Prasad left their legal practice. Students boycotted schools and colleges. Congress boycotted the elections for regional bodies. Many national institutions were established. Rabindranath Tagore returned his knighthood. Common people and women donated liberally to the Congress. Shops selling foreign goods were boycotted and foreign clothes were burnt. The visit of Prince of Wales was opposed. Explain the achievements of Subhash Chandra Bose in independence movement. Though he had secured 4th rank in the Indian Civil Services exam, he refused posting and became part of the national freedom struggle. He became popular as Netaji. He became the president of Haripur Convention of Indian National Congress. A difference of opinion broke out between Subhash Chandra Bose and Gandhiji. He objected Gandhiji's failure to seek foreign help in the matter. He escaped from the house arrest and reached Germany. The dictator of Germany agreed to extend all the help to Bose. Bose organized the prisoners of war from India. He broadcasted his speeches over Azad Hind Radio to Indians. He joined hands with Rash Bihari Bose. Rash Bihari Bose had founded India Independence League in Tokyo of Japan. Bose called for Delhi Chalo on this occasion. He said, "Give me your blood, I will get you Indian independence." Subhash Chandra Bose had planned to attack India through Rangoon. He died in airplane crash. Explain the various tribal revolts in the history of independence struggle. The tax and forest policies implemented during the British administration were the reasons for tribal revolts. Among them, revolts of Santala, Kola and Munda are important. Halagali Beda's revolt of Karnataka is another notable revolt. The revolt of Santala tribe is considered as an important revolt in India. The people of this tribe are present in the hilly areas of Bengal Odisha states. With the implementation of permanent Zamindar system, these people became landless. The land developed by them was taken over by the Zamindars. The Zamindars, moneylenders and the company government became the exploiters of the Santala tribe. Their peace-loving nature and civilized manners were exploited by the government. The upset Santalas met secretly and decided to loot the Zamindars and the moneylenders. Frightened moneylenders and Zamindars fled from these areas. The revolt of Santala became an inspiration for many revolts in future. Explain the major achievements of Nehru as the first Prime Minister of India. He can be seen as the architect of industrialization and modern India. He was successful in bringing all the princely states of India together. He also laid foundation for the diverse culture of India. He had firmly believed that only complete industrialization can bring development. He sought to develop India through 5-year plans. He sought to develop infrastructure and heavy industries. With the aim of mastering atomic energy, he laid the foundation for that under the leadership of H.J. Baba. He advocated non-aligned movement, Panchashila principles. Explain the achievements of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had believed strongly that political freedom without social freedom is meaningless. He introduced the concept of India not only as political entity but a whole system. He studied the caste system and devised strategies to destroy it. He organized Mahad Tank and Kalaram temple movements. He participated in all the three roundtable conferences. His demand for separate electoral constituencies for untouchables created controversies between Ambedkar and Gandhiji. He founded Bahishkruta Hitakarini Sabha and later Swatantra Karmika Party. He published periodicals like Prabuddha Bharata, Janata, Mookanayaka and Bahishkruta Bharata. He always stayed away from the communist and sociological ideologies. He was elected as the chairman of the drafting committee. He advocated equality in the constitution. What were the problems faced in independent India? The country was burnt in communal fire. The integration of princely states into the federal structure of India was a bigger problem. Partition had damaged the economic system of India deeply. India had a challenge of creating its own constitution. India had to protect its freedom that was after years struggle from its enemies. There was a need to strengthen the social fabric for to establish social equality. How did the nation face refugee problem? After independence, millions of people tried to find future in either of the country. Around 6 million refugees arrived in India. The Bangladesh war resulted in arrival of 10 lakh refugees to India. They were helped by the government of India, governments of Tripura, Meghalaya and Assam. Government of Karnataka sanctioned 3,000 acres of land to Tibetan refugees at Bailukuppe. India did not leave its humanitarian concern and tried to provide better refugee facilities for them. How was Pondicherry liberated from the French? Explain. Even after independence, the French had continued their hold over Pondicherry. Many political parties like Congress, Communists and others wanted them to become part of India. As a result of all these parts got integrated, Pondicherry became Union Territory of India. How was Gova liberated from Portuguese? A sustained movement was held to protest against the Portuguese occupation of Goa. Portuguese brought more army from Africa and Europe and tried to consolidate their power over Goa. Satyagrahis from all over India entered Goa and declared the exit of Portuguese from Goa. The Indian military entered Goa and took over its administration. Goa had remained a union territory till 1987 and later became a state. How did Junagadh join Indian Federation? The Nawab of this princely state had signed the agreement to join the state of Pakistan. His citizens revolted against him and flooded the streets. The king fled from the kingdom. The Diwan requested Indian government to send military power to Junagadh to maintain law and order. Later, Junagadh joined Indian Federation in 1949. Explain the integration of Hyderabad. Hyderabad, princely state, was ruled by Nizam. He wanted to remain independent and refused to join the independent India. Meanwhile, under the leadership of communists, the farmers of the state revolted against the Nizam and Zamindars. The people, angry with the cruel army called Razaks, which had the patronage of Nizam, The government of India sent its military power to fight against Hyderabad and defeated the Nizam and integrated Hyderabad into India. Vallabhbhai Patel could find a solution to this with his firm decision. How is communalism fatal to national unity? Explain. It creates social differences, mutual suspicion and fear situation in the society. It not only disturbs the peace of the society, it also destroys the public and private property. It leads to mutual accusation and physical assaults and other undesirable effects. Communalism puts self-interest ahead of national interest. What are your suggestions to improve the status of women? The government has started Women and Child Development Department in order to develop women's education and status. The government seeks to improve the status, health and education of the women. Many programs have been implemented to curb child marriage system. Dowry Prohibition Act, compulsory education are implemented. The government of Karnataka has implemented Stree Shakti program. Women's Commission have been established at national and state level to address the various issues of women. Attempts are made to provide reservation at state and national legislature bodies. Women reservation has already been provided at local bodies. Women reservation is also provided in government recruitments. What are the measures taken to curb the problem of corruption? Lokpal and Lokayukta. Education institutions can take a lead in this direction by installing CCTV cameras in government offices and increasing efficiency of government work. Measures like awarding harsh punishment for corrupt officials can also bring in some change. Increasing the number of courts and judges, strong public ethics and morality, personal commitment, political will, public support, ethical political leadership, good officers, politically aware and educated public. What is unemployment? What are the reasons for unemployment? Unemployment is a situation where a person does not find work in accordance to his capacity or qualification. The reasons for unemployment are huge population, improved technology, shortage of natural resources, over dependency of agriculture, ruined cottage industries, lack of skill-based education. What are the measures needed for the eradication of unemployment? Steps have been taken to improve the skill level of the job seekers, providing loans and subsidy to enable people to engage in self-employment, inculcate world-class skill to our people so that they compete with globalized production. Every citizen of the country should be encouraged to indulge in one or the other employment by providing job-oriented course to all. What is corruption? What are the various forms of corruption? Corruption means offering bribe and following any other illegal means to achieve some illegal benefits. The various forms of corruption: bribery, nepotism, caste favoritism, intentional slowdown of the work. What are the factors involved in a network of corruption? Tax evasion, illegal hoarding, smuggling, economic offences, cheating, violation of international exchange, employment cheating. What are the aims of India's foreign policy? National security, enriching national economy, spreading the cultural richness of our country in other countries by increasing the number friendly countries and check the power of enemy countries, achieving world peace and coexistence. What are the Panchashila principles respecting each other's sovereignty and regional interests? Non-invasion of each other, non-interference in each other's internal issues, mutual cooperation and respect, peaceful coexistence. Mention the factors which influenced and shaped India's foreign policy. National interests, geographical interest, political situation, economic interest, military issues, public opinion, international situation. What are the basic aspects of India's foreign policy? Panchashila principles, non-aligned movement, anti-imperialism, anti-apartheid policy, disarmament. India has been considered as one of the major countries of the world. Why? Huge population, natural resources, military power, intellectual and industrialized capacities. Explain the relationship between India and Russia. India has cordial relationship with Russia. It had similar relationship with United Socialist Soviet Russia. Even though India followed non-aligned policy, it had good relationship with Russia in the field of economics, politics and other areas. USSR had opposed China's invasion of India. During the Gova Liberation, USSR had supported India at UNO. USSR had supported the Tashkent Agreement between India and Pakistan. In 1971, India and USSR signed an agreement of 20 years for peace and cooperation. USSR had supported for the establishment of Bhilai and Bokaro steel plants. Explain the relationship between India and China. The relations between China and India goes back to Mesopotamia and Sindhu River civilization times. Buddhism originated in India, has found wide acceptance in China. The relationship between China and India goes back to ancient times. Many of Indian rulers had cordial trade relationship with Chinese rulers. The silk trade between China and India is discussed in Kautilya's Arthashastra. After the emergence of India and China as two sovereign republics, their mutual relationship were guided by Panchashila principles. A war broke between India and China in 1962 due to the escalation of Tibetan crisis. After the war, border dispute arose and these disputes still remain unresolved. The insistence of China that Arunachal Pradesh belongs to it is one of the main bone of contentions between the two countries. India and USA are two democratic countries. Explain the mutual cooperation that exists between both the countries. USA has supported a lot to India's 5-year plans. USA has extended its support during Indochina War of 1962, but later the political leaders of USA extended their support to Pakistan during the war between India and Pakistan. Many a times, the foreign policy of USA has been anti-Indian and pro-Pakistan. Interestingly, both India and USA have shared interest in controlling terrorism. India enjoys better relationship with USA in the fields of foreign trade, science and technology, space science, education, and other areas of mutual interest. Both the countries share mutual responsibility, strengthening UNO and maintenance of global peace. What were the major problems that emerged after World War II? Denial of human rights, arms race, economic inequality, apartheid, terrorism. Explain the struggle led by India for the implementation of human rights. India has been advocating Universal Declaration of Human Rights from the beginning. In the Constitution of India, from Article 12 to 35 of Part 3, fundamental rights are discussed. India has been advocating for better human rights implementation in all the meetings of UNO. Arms race leads to total destruction of the world. In this background, what are the effects of arms race? Insecurity, fear, instability, and threat of war appear due to the arms competition. In order to keep all these evils away, disarmament is the viable option available for humanity. With the preparation of nuclear weapons and bombs, the issue of disarmament has become a serious issue in the present world. How is India trying to eradicate economic inequality at a global level? India insisted that the developed countries should provide assistance to developing countries without any conditions. This helped the poor nations to protect their self-respect. It tried to channel monetary help to the third world countries. India, as a progressive nation, is striving to promote economic equality among all the countries of the world. What are the features of social stratification? Social stratification is social in nature. Social stratification is universal. Social stratification is ancient. Social stratification exists in different way. How is untouchability a socially? We'll discuss. The lowest position in the social strata, they were kept out of the education, denial of property rights, denial of political participation rights. What are the legal measures to eradicate untouchability? The Article 17 of the Indian Constitution prohibits untouchability. The Government of India has implemented Untouchability Crime Act in 1955. Civil Rights Protection Act was implemented in 1976 with the necessary changes to the Act of 1955. According to this Act, practicing untouchability is a crime. Universal right to vote and participate in election has also been provided. Reservation has been given in the field of education and employment for SC, ST and other backward classes. The Act of 1989 has given some specific responsibilities for the governments in the eradication of untouchability, equality to all. What are the major forms of social stratification? Primitive society, slavery, estate system, Varna system, caste system. What are the differences between organized and unorganized workers? The sector which is enrolled as per the law of the government and provided fixed wages, facilities within the framework of law is called organized sector. The unorganized sector of work is that sector where legal provisions do not completely govern government. This sector is guided by Minimum Wages Act, Special Allowances Act, Provident Fund Act and many other acts in support of laborers. The minimum wages in this sector usually stays below the mandatory pay fixed by the governments. There is a need for registration, there is no need for registration. This sector follows the legal provisions of the government. This sector does not follow the legal provisions of the government. It is also mandatory for them to pay taxes. There are no tax provisions here. School, hospital, industries, government related services, commercial banks, life insurance companies, military and other belong to this sector. Vehicle repair, selling of goods like vegetables, fish on head, puncture repairs and other belong to this sector. There is fixed time or duration for this work. There is no fixed time or duration for this work. Explain Chipko Moment. The government had issued license to cut 2,500 trees belonging to Rainy village of Tehri Garhwal district. The women who learnt about this decided to hug the trees in order to protect them so that environment remains protected. This movement of hugging is called as Chipko Moment. Though a woman was instrumental behind this movement, its effects were long lasting. Due to this movement, the permission given to cut the trees was withdrawn. Explain the nature of mob. Mob is a collection of people which collects in place and indulges in a temporary thinking, demands and the related emotional expression. This expression is called mob behavior. This type of sources later turned into a social movements. A mob is a collection of people who have assembled at particular point without any prior plan and gathered to express some decision. A group of people who have collected in front of a theater to watch, or a group of people who have gathered around to know more about an accident are examples of mobs. Explain the nature of mob violence. When the behavior of mob turns violent, then it is called as mob violence. There would be no unity in mob violence. Here anti-social elements led the mob towards violence, destroying public property. They create confusion in the beginning. Out of confusion, violence grows out. Many times, mob violence results in major deaths. Explain Chipko Movement of Karnataka. Chipko movement was started by the villagers of Salyani. The local people opposed the move of the contractor to cut trees in Kalase forest. They stood hugging the trees. The people launched this movement to protect trees from smuggling. They also aimed at increasing awareness among the people about the importance of growing forest. Explain Narmada Bachao Andolana. The huge dam built across the river Narmada under Sardar Sarovar project displaced local tribal people. As scientific studies found that the dam would affect sensitive ecological balance of the river, the people agitated against the dam under the leadership of Meda Patkar. This movement has been going on for a long period. Explain Silent Valley movement. A dam was proposed to build in the Silent Valley of Palghat of Kerala. The building of dam threatened the sensitive ecological balance of the Silent Valley. People from Kerala, Shastra Parishad and wildlife enthusiasts opposed this project. Finally, the government was successful installing the dam and protecting the Silent Valley's sensitive ecological balance. In this map, 82.5 degree east longitude, Tropic of Cancer, or 23.5 degree north latitude, Indira Point, Indira Coal are important. Distinguish between the Eastern Ghats and the Western Ghats. The Eastern Ghats run almost parallel to the east coast of India. The Western Ghats are continuous range running parallel to the west coast of India. They are lower than the Western Ghats and are not continuous. They are higher than the Eastern Ghats and are continuous. The highest peak in the Eastern Ghats is Armakunda. Naimudi is the highest peak in South India. Eastern Ghats extend from the Mahanadi Valley in the north. The Western Ghats extend from the Tapi Valley to Kanyakumari. State the importance of the northern or Himalayan mountains. The Himalayas act as natural frontiers and prevent foreign invasion. They prevent the cold winds from Central Asia. They obstruct the rain-bearing winds and this causes heavy rainfall. Their slopes have thick forest and are ideal for plantation crops, example tea in Assam. They are a storehouse of minerals and the birthplace of many rivers and waterfalls which are used to generate hydroelectric power. Explain the importance of the peninsular plateau. Peninsular plateau is rich in minerals, thick forests and biodiversity. It has influence on southwest monsoons and it is covered with black soil which is useful for agriculture. The Western Ghats are the birthplace of many South Indian rivers which are useful for the generation of hydroelectricity. It is well known for hill stations such as Ooty. Distinguish between the Western coastal plain and the Eastern coastal plain. The Western coastal plain lies between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. The Eastern coastal plain lies between the Eastern Ghats and the Bay of Bengal. Western coastal plain extends from the Rann of Kutch to Kanyakumari. The Eastern coastal plain extends from the north of river Subarnarekha to Kanyakumari. It is narrow, steep and rocky. It is broader than the Western coastal plain. Its divisions are the Konkan coast, the Karnataka coast, the Malabar coast. Its divisions are the Northern Sarkar and Coromandel coast. Explain the importance of the coastal plains. The coastal plains of India provide some natural harbors which help in carrying on foreign trade. The coastal plains are useful for fishing, shipbuilding, agriculture and production of salt. Many beaches are found along the coast and they attract tourists. The backwaters are useful for navigation. Explain the importance of the Northern Great Plain. The Northern Great Plain is very suitable for irrigation and agriculture as it has perennial rivers and vast fertile alluvial soil. Its level land supports a network of roads, railways and means of communication. They are useful for industrialization, urbanization and trade. A number of pilgrim centers are located here. Mention the main causes of soil erosion: deforestation, overgrazing, shifting cultivation, faulty methods of cultivation, Use of topsoil for making bricks, tiles. What are the major effects of soil erosion? Loss of soil fertility and fall in agricultural productivity. It leads to silting and floods, change of the course of rivers, and reduction of capacity of the reservoirs. Groundwater level is lowered and there is a decrease in soil moisture. Vegetation covers dries up and drought increase. Economy as a whole suffers a great setback. Mention the measures adopted for conserving soil. Afforestation and reforestation, controlled overgrazing, contour farming, construction of check dams, contour bunding, gully control and bench terracing. What are the types of forest found in India? The tropical evergreen forests, the tropical deciduous forest, scrub forests and grassland, desert vegetation, mountain forests, mangrove forests. Mention the measures for the conservation of forests. Control of deforestation, restriction on grazing, control of forest fires, prevention of encroachment on forests, control of forest insects and diseases, controlling illegal cutting of trees, scientific cutting of trees, legislation to check deforestation, encourage afforestation. Explain the features of the tropical evergreen forests. These forests are found in areas of heavy rainfall exceeding 250 centimeters. These forests are dense and the trees grow to a great height. The trees and plants do not shed their leaves during the year at the same time, hence they are evergreen. The important trees are teak, rosewood, ebony, mahogany, gurjan and champa. Explain the features of the tropical deciduous forests. These forests are found in areas with an annual rainfall of 100 to 200 centimeters. They are occupied a wide area, largely on the eastern slopes. The trees in these forests shed their leaves during spring and early summer. Hence, they are also known as monsoon forests. The important trees are teak, sal, sandalwood, kusum, kanju, myrobalan, siris, mango, neem, tamarind, etc. Explain the features of mangrove forests. These forests are found in wet marshy areas, in river deltas, and along the sea coast washed by tides. They are mainly found in the deltas of rivers on the eastern coast and in pockets on the western coast of India. The important trees are rhizopora, canes, screwpipe, palms, sundari, etc. The tree trunks are supported by a number of stilt-like roots which are submerged underwater. What are the causes for the destruction of forests? The expansion of agricultural land, construction of roads and railway, irrigation projects, industrialization, urbanization, overgrazing, forest fires, etc. Rivers: Narmada, Tapi, Tungabhadra, Krishna, Kaveri, Pennar, Palar, Godavari, Mahanadi, Damodar, Brahmaputra, Ganga, Yamuna. These rivers are important from this lesson. When we come to multi-purpose river valley projects, Bakra Nangal, Chambal, Narmada, Upper Krishna, Tungabhadra, Nagarjuna Sagara, Hirakud, Damodar Valley, Rihand, Gandak, Kosi. Mention the classification of land use. Net area sown, forest area, land not available for cultivation, fallow land, cultivable waste, permanent pasture and other grazing land, land under miscellaneous uses. Explain the importance of agriculture in India. India is a country known for agriculture. Nearly 65% of the people depend on agriculture. The economic progress of the country depends on the progress of agriculture. Agriculture in India is the main source of livelihood. It is the main source of food for the people and fodder for domestic animals. It is a source of national income and revenue. Agriculture supports tertiary sectors like trade, transport, banking, insurance, etc. It also has influence on the political and social situation of the country. It supports many industries like cotton and jute textile, sugar industry. Mention the factors which affects cropping pattern. Relief features, soil, climate, size of farms, water supply, income of farmers, technology, etc. Mention the types of agriculture. Subsistence farming, intensive farming, commercial farming, mixed farming, plantation farming, dry farming, humid farming, irrigation farming. Important seaports: Kandla, Mumbai, Navashiva, Marmugova, Mangalore, Kochi, Tuticorin, Chennai, Ennore, Vishakhapatnam, Paradeep, Haldia and Kolkata. Explain briefly the importance of road transport in India. For the development of agriculture and village industries, roads are essential because they are very convenient to connect isolated villages. Roads can be constructed in forests and hilly regions. They connect remote places with the towns and cities, provide door-to-door service. They are the feeders to railways, seaports and airports. They play a very important role in tourism, trade and commerce and industries. They create employment opportunities and are most useful for defense, especially in border areas. Explain the importance of transport. Transport plays a very important role in the development of all factors of human activities, namely the primary sector, the secondary and the tertiary sector. Efficient and cheap means of transport helps to develop resources, agriculture, promotes industrial progress. Widen the market, increases internal and external trade, provides employment, raises the income and standard of living of the people, encourages tourism and helps defense. Explain the importance of railway transport. They are the other mode of land transport. They are useful to carry heavy goods, large number of passengers over a long distance. They play a vital role in the development of agriculture, development of industry, development of economy of India. They help to expand trade and tourism. Mention the ports on the west coast: Kandla, Mumbai, Jawaharlal Nehru Port, Marmugova, New Mangaluru, Kochi. Mention the ports on the east coast: Tuticorin, Chennai, Ennore, Vishakhapatnam, Paradeep, Haldia, Kolkata, Port Blair. Mention any 6 international airports of India: Indira Gandhi, Chhatrapati Shivaji, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Anna, Kempegowda, Rajiv Gandhi, Sri Guru Ramdas Ji, Lokapriya Gopinath Bardoli International Airport. What are the importance of communication? Communication helps in quick transmission and dissemination of ideas, information and messages from one person to another or from one place to another. Communication helps in creating awareness among the people about government policies and programs of development. It enables us to know about natural hazards and disasters, weather forecasting, etc. It helps in the progress of trade, industry, agriculture, etc. It provides entertainment, day-to-day information of the world, helps to maintain unity and integrity of the country. What is meant by manufacturing industries? Mention their factors of location. The conversion of raw materials into usable products is known as manufacturing industries. Factors of location: supply of raw materials, supply of power, transport and communication facilities, market facilities, capital, labor and water supply, ideal climate, government policies. List out the major industrial regions in India: the Hooghly-Kolkata region, the Mumbai-Pune region, the Ahmedabad-Vadodara region, the Madurai-Coimbatore region, the Delhi-Meerut region, Vishakhapatnam-Guntur region, the Kolkata-Tiruvananthapuram region. Mention the public sector iron and steel industry: Indian Iron and Steel Company at Burnpur in West Bengal, Vishweshwaraya Iron and Steel Industry at Bhadravati in Karnataka, Hindustan Steel Limited at Bhilai, Durg district in Chhattisgarh, Hindustan Steel Limited at Rourkela, Sundargarh district in Odisha, Hindustan Steel Limited at Durgapur in West Bengal, Bokaro Steel Plant at Bokaro in Jharkhand, the Salem Steel Plant at Salem in Tamil Nadu, the Vishakhapatnam Steel Plant at Vishakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. Explain the role of industries in economic development. Industries are vital for economic progress. The development of industries reduces the reliance on primary products, imported goods, helps to increase the national and per capita income and earn foreign exchange, also create job opportunities and raise GDP and the living standard of the people. They help to reduce the pressure on agriculture. What are the causes of cyclones? High temperature, calm air, highly saturated air. These conditions result in the development of low pressure center. Relative high pressure provides around the low pressure, so the winds blows spirally inwards the center of low pressure, causing cyclones. What are the effects of cyclones? Tropical cyclones are very destructive to causes loss of life and property, damage to buildings, transports and communication system, disrupt power supply, destroy crops, vegetation, animals, etc. What are the preventive measures for cyclones? Cyclones are natural phenomena. We cannot prevent them, but people can pay heed to the warnings They should keep in touch with radio, television, and other communicative lines. Temporary shelter should be provided during cyclones. Cyclone proof structure can be constructed. Mangrove forest and other deep rooted trees can be grown along the coastline to check the import of cyclonic winds and the soil erosion. What are the causes of flood? Floods are caused by both natural and man made factors. The natural factors include heavy rainfall, melting of snow, tropical cyclones, cloud burst, blockage of the free flow of river water, and silting river beds, etc. The man-made causes are deforestation, faulty irrigation, and agricultural practices, breaching of barrages, and rapid urbanization. What are the effects of flood? Floods causes loss of life and property, damages to crops, vegetation, breakdown of communication and power system, dislocation of transport system, soil erosion, disruption of essential services, etc. What are the flood control measures? Afforestation in the catchment area, which help in the reduction of runoff, construction of dams across the rivers, and storing of water in reservoirs. It reduces the volume of water and helps to provide water for irrigation, etc. Construction of embankments for protection against inundation of the inhabited areas and agricultural land, flood forecasting and early warnings. This is essential for taking timely action to prevent loss of human life, livestock, and property. What are the causes for landslides? Natural forces, undercutting of the slope, as in sea wave erosion of sea cliff, earthquakes, and heavy rainfall. Human forces, deforestation, construction of roads, railway lines, dams and reservoirs, hydel power projects, mining, quarrying, etc. What are the effects of landslides? Landslides are destructive natural disasters. Major effects are blocking of roads, railway lines, burying of human settlements and vegetation, loss of life and property, etc. Roads blocking is a very common problem. What are the preventive measures of landslides? Slope reduction, prevention of rock falls along highways and other slope, avoiding of mining and quarrying activities near the steep slopes and human settlement and buildings. There should be massive reforestation, etc. Steps to reduce the occurrence of landslides. What are the causes for coastal erosion? Coastal erosion is mostly caused by sea waves and ocean currents. In India, the causes are monsoon winds, tropical cyclones, tsunamis. What are the effects of coastal erosion? Coastal areas, including trees, buildings, can be washed away. The roads, railway lines, bridges, etc. along the coast can be damaged. Coastal areas can remain flooded over a long period of time, requiring resettlement of people. What are the preventive measures for coastal erosion? Constructing sea walls, groins, breakwaters to protect the coastal areas from wave erosion, restrict sand mining in coastal areas, planting of trees to stabilize the beaches and coastal dunes. What are the causes for earthquakes? Plate movements, volcanic eruption, faulting and folding, landslides, collapse of underground cave roofs, hydrostatic pressure of man-made water bodies like reservoirs, etc. What are the effects of earthquakes? The disastrous effects of earthquake are cracking of ground surface, damage and destruction of buildings, rails, roads, power lines, telecom lines, bridges, dams, factories, loss of human and animal lives and property. The other effects are fires, landslides, disturbances in groundwater level, blockage and diversion of river course, destruction of forest due to fires, etc. What are the precautionary measures of earthquakes? Avoid the human settlements in the earthquake prone zones. Follow earthquake resistant designs for the construction of buildings. Use building materials of high quality and avoid high rise buildings. Restrict the over groundwater mining. Restrict urban growth in the hilly areas with high seismic vulnerability. Avoid the construction of large dams and reservoirs. Stop reforestation and heavy quarrying activities. What do you mean by underdevelopment? What are its causes? The word underdevelopment denotes a backward and stagnant situation where levels of living of people are low due to lower level of per capita income and lower productivity level apart from high population growth. Causes for underdevelopment: lower national income, inequality, poverty, unemployment, non-conservation of resources. What is HDI? How it is calculated? The average of three indicators such as life expectancy of the people, educational achievements, and per capita income is called Human Development Index. HDI is calculated with the help of life expectancy, literacy attainments, and per capita income. Examine the causes for low HDI of India: lack of food, lack of shelter, lack of clothing, lack of education, lack of health, lack of social security, lack of clean water, impure air, polluted environment. How to achieve gender equality, empowerment of women? Laws should be enacted to curb violence against women at home and at workplaces, to guarantee equal wages, providing reservation of seats in elected bodies. Explain the importance of women self-help groups. A women self-help group is a group of women who come together to share their meager resources, obtain external support, undertake business jointly and earn income. They are trained in managing accounts, handling bank transactions, and skills to take up remunerative income generating activities. Self-help groups have been instrumental in helping women to earn, save, and spend at their willingness. Their dignity and autonomy has increased. Comparison of economic development between countries with different levels of population will not be correct. Why? Economic progress in a country will be slower if the population expands along with the increase in national income. Therefore, comparison of economic development between countries with different levels of population will not be correct. Per capita income is not true indicators of development. Why? Per capita income does not consider the distribution of income among people as well as the availability of basic amenities like food, shelter, education, health, or other similar social factors. So, per capita income is not true indicators of development. Explain briefly the significance of rural development. It contributes not only to rural but also to the overall development of the country. Creates greater demand for industrial products and services, thereby generating additional employment and leading to an expansion of those sectors also. With increased literacy and skill levels, higher productivity could be achieved. Better health also results in higher work participation by the people and increased output. Agro-processing, small-scale and cottage industries will develop, leading to gradual transformation of the villages. Migration to cities will be reduced. All these contribute toward reduction of poverty. What is the role of Panchayat Raj institutions in rural development? Panchayat Raj institutions play key role in enabling the rural people to participate in rural development. They are responsible for implementing various schemes related to poverty alleviation and livelihood security. Besides providing public amenities, they provide the rural community with basic facilities of roads, drains, drinking water, street lights, toilets, school and hospital buildings, market yards, etc. Through encouragement of primary and middle school education, adult education, technical and vocational training, and expansion of health and hygiene facility, Panchayat have also attempted to develop human resources. The generation of employment and alleviation of poverty can be implemented effectively through Panchayat Raj institutions. The public distribution system in villages is strengthened and poor people are provided with the essential food grains. Mention the list of activities that are essential for rural development. Development of human resources, land reforms, development of the productive resources of each locality, infrastructure development like electricity, irrigation, credit, marketing, transport facilities, specific programs of alleviation of poverty. Mention the key features of the Panchayat Raj system adopted in India. A three-tier structure of district, taluk and village panchayat with the Gram Sabha as foundation, direct and periodic elections, reservation of seats for SC, ST and other backward classes and women, provision of major financial and administrative responsibilities, budget and audit requirements, provision for executive or support staff, a strict procedure for dissolution, suppression of panchayat and mandatory elections within 6 months of dissolution. Explain the role of women self-help groups in rural development. Women self-help groups have been created in all villages in the rural sector. These have been playing a significant role in organizing poor rural women and making them financially independent. Members of these groups can avail of loans easily and engage in productive activities. These associations have been successful in mobilizing savings and in repayment of loans. Through the self-help groups, alert women are able to get rid of social evils like child marriage, dowry, caste system, superstition, exploitation of women and children. They are able to contribute towards building a clean and progressive society. List out the characteristics relating to bank transaction, dealing with money, individual or firm or company, acceptance of deposits, lending loans, payment and withdrawal, agency and utility services, profit and service orientation, ever increasing functions, connecting link, banking business, name identity. What are the functions of a bank? Accepting deposits from public and others, lending money to public and other institutions, transferring money from one place to another, collecting money on checks, draft bills, discounting of bills, hiring safe deposit lockers, conducting foreign exchange transactions, keeping valuables in safe custody, issuing letters of credit and guarantee. What are the services offered by banks? Debit card and credit cards, safe deposit lockers, personal loans, trust services, home and vehicle loans, signature guarantees, mutual funds, e-banking. What are the services rendered by the post office? Issue of National Savings Certificate, Kisan Vikas Patra, monthly recurring deposits, postal life insurance, pension payment, money transfer. What are the types of bank? Central Bank or Reserve Bank of India, commercial banks, industrial development banks, land development banks, indigenous banks, money lenders or sahukars, cooperative banks. Explain the procedures to open a bank account. Decide the type of account which you want to open. Approach the bank of your choice and meet its office. Fill up the bank account form and proposal form. Give reference for opening your bank account. Submit the bank account form duly filled. The officer will verify all the particulars submitted. Initial deposit. What are the advantages of opening a bank account? Bank account facilitates a safe custody of money. Bank account helps in making payments. Bank account helps in collection of money. Bank account holders get advances and loans. Bank account helps in smooth financial transactions. Bank account holders can get safe deposit locker facility. What are the characteristics of entrepreneurship? Creativity, innovation, dynamism, leadership, team building, achievement motivation, problem solving, goal orientation, risk taking, decision making, commitment, self confidence. Explain the importance of an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur promote capital formation by mobilizing the idle savings of the citizens. They employ resources for setting up their enterprises. They provide large scale employment to artisans, technically qualified persons and professionals. They help the country to increase the gross domestic product, GDP and per capita income. They promote the development of industries. They contribute towards the development of society by reducing concentration of income and wealth. They promote countries' export trade. They work in an environment of changing technology and try to maximize profits by innovations. What are the functions of entrepreneur? Entrepreneur starts business activity by preparing various plans relating to business. He organizes factors of production. He takes decisions about product technology, marketing, employment, etc. He coordinates things effectively. He introduces new methods into practice. He handles budget of his concern. He bears risk and uncertainty. He gives directions to the business firm and ensures its effective operation. Mention promotional institutions which have been set up to help emerging entrepreneur. District industrial centers, Small Industries Development Corporation Limited, National Small Industries Corporation, Small Scale Industries Board, Small Industry Service Institutions, Industrial Estates, Khadi and Village Industries Corporation, Technical Consultancy Organizations. What are the self-employment opportunities for entrepreneur? Advertising agencies, marketing consultancy, industrial consultancy, equipment rental and leasing, photocopying centers, industrial research and development, industrial testing labs, internet browsing or setting up of cyber cafe, installation and operation of cable and TV network, beauty parlors. Mention the 4 important aims of the Consumer Protection Act. The Act accords importance for safety and quality, avoiding production and sale of dangerous goods, prevention of trade malpractices in the market, supervision on quality, weights, measures, and price, compensating the consumers in case of any problem arising as a result of trade, creating awareness to the consumers through consumer education. What are the rights of consumer? The right to protect against the marketing of goods which are hazardous to life and property of the consumers, the right to information, right to choice, right to be heard, right to seek redressal against the unfair trade practices or unscrupulous exploitation, right to consumer education, right to stop exploitation.